My brother-in-law spied on me in the shower. My parents wanted me to just put a lock on my door. So, I did what I had to do. Now 2 years later, everyone acts like nothing happened, and I am the outcast. I, 24, have always been the odd one out in my family. The middle child, the so-called black sheep. My parents are very religious, and not in a kind, compassionate, live and let live kind of way, but in the strict, rule-laden, contradictory way where everything is a sin until it suddenly isn't anymore. Growing up, I was the one constantly told I was rebellious, ungrateful, worldly. The irony is, half the rules they shoved down my throat growing up eventually became optional once I broke them first. The most glaring example, for years, my mom preached that women should never wear pants. It's immodest, it's unfeminine, it's against God's plan, she'd say every Sunday. I was forced into skirts and dresses, no matter the weather, no matter the activity. Then, the day I turned 18, I bought myself my first pair of jeans. I wore them proudly. My mom was horrified at first, but within weeks, she and my sister both started wearing pants too. It was as if the rule had never existed. That's always how it's been in my house. Rules that only exist until I break them. That hypocrisy and 1,000 other things are part of why I've never felt like I fully belonged in my family. But what happened 2 years ago made me feel not just like the black sheep, but like I was completely unsafe in my own home. When my sister Claire, now 27, and her husband Sean, 28, moved in with my parents, it was supposed to be temporary. They had just had a baby and needed time to save for a house. Everyone in the family acted like it was normal. Honestly, I didn't think too hard about it. I'd never noticed anything strange about Sean before. He wasn't particularly warm or cold toward me, just my sister's husband, the guy who ate dinner at the same table, helped with the baby, made small talk when necessary. Nothing more. But one night, a few months after they moved in, something happened that shattered my sense of security completely. It was a late night. I'd just gotten home from work, exhausted, my body aching. All I wanted was to take a hot shower and crawl into bed. At that time, the house was quiet. My dad was in his office downstairs, probably reading or working on paperwork. My mom was out of town visiting relatives. Claire was at work on a late shift. That meant Sean was upstairs with the baby, in the guest room. Nothing about that setup struck me as odd. It was normal. Now, here's where the house layout matters. My bedroom connects to a Jack and Jill bathroom. On the other side of the bathroom is the spare room. But, and this is key, the door from the spare room into the bathroom has always stayed locked from the inside. That bathroom was mine. Nobody else used it. It was my one small corner of privacy in a house that rarely gave me any. The only way into my bathroom was through my bedroom, and the only way into my bedroom was through the hallway. The bathroom itself has a kind of segmented design. From my room, you enter into a vanity area. Past that, there's a sliding door that leads into the shower and toilet area. Beyond that, another sliding door leads into another vanity space, then the door to my bedroom. Basically, it's a long, narrow space broken up by doors and walls. The design always made me feel like I had privacy, almost like layers of security between me and the rest of the house. Because of this, I never locked my bedroom door. I always closed it, but I never felt like I had to keep it locked. The bathroom was mine. Nobody had any reason to go through my things or cross into my space. It had always felt safe. That night, like usual, I closed my bedroom door, but left it unlocked. I left my bathroom door open to prevent steam from building up. I even left the sliding door into the shower area open so the heat could circulate. To me, this wasn't careless. It was just normal. I had never in my life imagined a scenario where someone would walk into my space without permission. If you haven't already guessed where this was heading, let me just rip the band-aid off. I got into the shower like I always did, sat down under the spray, and opened TikTok on my phone. That was my little routine: shower, scroll, zone out, let the water wash the day away. Just me, my phone, and the sound of running water. Completely normal. Completely safe. Or so I thought. At one point, I caught something in my peripheral vision. Just the faintest flicker of movement, a shadow, maybe. I turned my head to look, but there was nothing there. The steam was thick, the lighting dim, so I brushed it off. Probably just the water shifting the shadows. I went back to scrolling, back to laughing at dumb videos, back to feeling like I was in my own bubble. But then it happened again. That sensation you get when you know you're being watched. The prickle on the back of your neck. The instinct that tells you something isn't right. This time, when I turned, I saw him.
Sean.
Not a full body, not him walking in. No, it was his head. Literally his head poking past the wall that separates the vanity from the shower area, angled sideways like some twisted cartoon character creeping into a frame. Except this wasn't funny. This was my sister's husband. This was the father of my niece. And he was peeking into the shower, where I was completely naked and vulnerable. My brain short-circuited. I didn't have words, didn't have composure. All I could do was scream the first thing that came to me. Hello. And just like that, he vanished. Pulled back so fast it almost made me question if I'd imagined it. But no, I knew what I'd seen. There was no mistaking that face. That intent. My heart was pounding, hands shaking, and suddenly the bathroom didn't feel like mine anymore. It felt violated, unsafe, tainted. I turned off the water immediately, fumbling for my towel with adrenaline, making me clumsy. I didn't even confront him. I didn't want to see his face. I didn't want to give him a chance to explain it away or gaslight me. Instead, I grabbed my phone and texted my dad. What is Sean doing in my bathroom? My dad replied, I don't know, but I'll take care of it. Later he would tell me that when he confronted Sean, he wasn't mean but wasn't nice either. Which left me completely baffled. Because why on earth would you not be mean about something like this? Your son-in-law sneaks into your daughter's private bathroom to spy on her while she showers, and you don't tear him a new one? I didn't understand. I still don't. After wrapping myself in a towel and rushing through getting dressed, I stormed down to my dad's office. My whole body was buzzing with fury and fear. I remember standing in front of his desk, trembling, and laying it out as plainly as I could. You tell him, if he ever comes near me again, I will shoot him. That's when my dad blinked, taken aback, and asked me, what exactly did he do? So I told him, word for word. He was spying on me while I showered. And then I gave my father an ultimatum. One that came out of me with more clarity than I'd ever felt before. Either he moves out or I will. Because I will not live in the same house as him. There was no room for compromise. No negotiation. My safety, my dignity, my privacy had been shattered, and there was no world in which I was going to sit at the same dinner table with that man like nothing happened. I packed a bag and left to stay at my boyfriend's house. It was the only place I could think of where I'd feel safe enough to sleep that night. Not long after, I got a text from my dad. He said Sean had been sent to a hotel. His house key had been taken away. For a moment, I felt relief, like okay, at least some boundary had been drawn. But then my dad added, almost casually, that we'd need to wait until my mom got back in town to discuss everything. Discuss? I didn't understand what there was to discuss. He'd been caught. I'd seen it with my own eyes. What else was there? Later that night, my dad sat Claire down and told her what had happened, why Sean was suddenly out of the house, why he was in a hotel instead of under the same roof. And Claire's response, God, it still makes me sick. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She didn't grab her baby and leave. Instead, she said they'd just move into an apartment sooner than planned. Forget the down payment for the house. They'd just go rent somewhere. Which, to me, was at least something. It meant I wouldn't have to live under the same roof as him again. But my dad shut it down. He told her no, that they shouldn't rush into moving out, that we'd figure something out. Fast forward a few days, my mom finally got back into town. I had been waiting, somewhat nervously but also hopefully, thinking maybe she would see things clearly in a way my dad hadn't. Maybe she would be the one to say, this is unacceptable. Sean is out of the house. You're safe here. That's what I desperately needed to hear. Instead, she sat me down and said she wanted to hear my side of the story. That phrasing alone made my blood run cold. My side? Like there were two sides? Like there was some version where Sean accidentally poked his head into the bathroom while I was naked in the shower? But fine, I told the story again from start to finish, every detail exactly as it happened. When I finished, she looked at me carefully and asked if I still felt the same way, that Sean had to move out or I would. I remembered just staring at her, stunned. Of course I still feel that way, I said. Why would I have changed my mind? Why would I ever feel safe living under the same roof with him again? And that's when she gave me the speech. She told me the situation was difficult, that they had to think about what was best for everyone, not just me. She told me they were just as angry as I was. Which, excuse me, no they weren't. If they were as angry as I was, Sean would already be gone. If they were as angry as I was, there wouldn't be anything to think about. Then she suggested what she apparently thought was a reasonable solution. They could add deadbolts to my bedroom door.
Let me repeat that.
My own mother, The person who was supposed to protect me suggested that instead of removing the predator from the house, I could just lock myself in like a prisoner while he got to live freely with everyone else. I was supposed to barricade myself in my room and hope that a piece of metal kept him out. I refused. My ultimatum still stood. Either he goes or I do. She sighed, said they'd have to think about it. Days passed. Almost a week after everything happened, there was still no decision. What there was, though, was a lot of concern about how expensive it was to keep Sean in a hotel. A lot of talk about how stressful this was for Claire, how hard it was for them financially and emotionally. That's when the truth became clear. If I gave them a choice between me, their daughter, and a man who violated my privacy, and they couldn't choose, then the choice was already made.
So I made it easy for them.
I packed my things, I moved in with my boyfriend, and I didn't look back. That was 2 years ago. Since then, life for them has gone back to normal. They live like one big happy family. My parents treat Sean as though nothing ever happened. He goes to every family gathering, every holiday, every Sunday dinner. Claire stayed with him. She's even talking about trying for another baby with him, like nothing happened at all. Meanwhile, my relationship with my family has dwindled to almost nothing. We barely speak. And when we do, it's tense and ugly, because underneath everything is that betrayal no one wants to name. We've had blowout fights where they try to rewrite the story, saying I rushed out before they had a chance to fix it, saying I made things harder by being dramatic. They never outright say it's my fault, but the implication is always there.
And the kicker?
Most of our extended family and community have no idea what really happened. They just know I suddenly moved in with my boyfriend. In their eyes, I was the rebellious middle child, the black sheep who left to live in sin. My parents lean into that narrative because it's easier. They don't have to explain why their golden daughter stayed married to a man who violated her sister. They don't have to explain why they failed to protect me. They just let everyone believe I left because I'm reckless. Because I've always been the problem child. Recently, what actually pushed me to finally write this post happened. I was just sitting on my couch, scrolling TikTok like I always do, when I got a notification that Sean had viewed my profile. My heart literally dropped into my stomach. It felt like someone had poured ice water through my veins. 2 years later, after everything, after blocking him on every possible platform, after bending over backwards to avoid him, there he was looking at me again. I immediately blocked him. My hands were shaking as I did it, like I was right back in that bathroom again. The violation, the anger, the disgust, it all came flooding back. I texted Claire, thinking surely this would be the moment she'd finally get it, finally react like a normal human being whose husband had been caught peeping on her sister in the shower. Her response? She was so incredibly nonchalant. Like it was just a minor inconvenience, a glitch in the app, something not even worth discussing. No apology. No outrage. No, I'll handle this right now. Just nothing. It was like I'd told her the weather forecast. I can't even explain how that felt. 2 years I've been carrying this wound, trying to convince myself my family just handled it badly, that they were overwhelmed, that deep down they were on my side. But the more time that passes, the clearer it becomes. My refusal to be in the same room as Sean isn't seen as a boundary born from trauma. To them, it's just an inconvenience. It messes up their holiday plans. It forces them to split Christmas like divorced parents. Claire goes in the morning, we go at night. Thanksgiving? Same thing. Every event now has to be planned around my absence or his presence. I've tried to swallow it for 2 years, but it's eating me alive. My skin still crawls when I picture his face peeking into that shower. My stomach turns when I think about the confidence he had, doing that while my dad was literally just upstairs, while his own child was just a few rooms away. That wasn't the behavior of someone who made a mistake in the heat of the moment. That was someone who felt untouchable. Someone who thought he could get away with it, and honestly,
He did.
because, what's the lesson here? He spied on me in the shower, my parents found out, he stayed in a hotel for a few days, and then life went back to normal. He got a slap on the wrist, and a free pass back into the family. He got to keep his marriage. He got to keep his spot at the dinner table. He even gets to check my TikTok profile like nothing ever happened. And now I can't stop thinking, who knows what he'll do next? Who knows what else he's already done? He's been taught that he can do something like this and face virtually no consequences. What happens the next time? What happens if there's another girl in the house one day? Will he do it again? Will it be worse?